guys, welcome back to the rebuild of my current Japanese love interest, the Mitsubishi 3000GT VR4. And no, it's not this smashed up one behind me. That one's the donor to help us get this absolute gem of a VR4 painted in the ultra rare amethyst pearl color back on the road. Last episode, we snatched this thing out of a storage unit in Vegas and it could not be in better shape. Realistically, it's just missing a few parts. Unfortunately, however, those parts are pretty important. So today, we're gonna get everything we need out of the donor VR4 and ready to go in the pink purple one. Thanks for the sacrifice, old girl. Now this car does have a ton we can use other than the engine, the interior, even some suspension. We're gonna take what we need, sell the rest to recoup some money, and of course we're starting right here with the drivetrain. Well guys, we've already got a lot of stuff off this car, some of which I'm holding on to because I'm not sure if I'm gonna need. This drive shaft, however, doesn't fall into that category. Some of you guys might remember from last video. Oh, God. So yeah, we need this one. There we go. Actually, doesn't look like this one's got beat across the parking lot. Check that out. We're making good progress up top. The bottom's almost completely done except for this stuff here. One of which, the oil cooler, I know we're gonna need. The car was blown up, so even if that thing does have an oil cooler, we need to replace it. The one part I'm unsure about are the actual intercoolers.
Look at how tiny they look.
They are.
This is kind of disagree. Like, you got such a big engine and such a small intercoolers.
Such a big engine.
It's a V6.
It's a V6 with some tiny little turbos about that big. Speaking of intercoolers, Fernando, would you kindly go check if our car over there has intercoolers? Because I genuinely don't know.
Yep, they're in there.
Sit that bad boy there, let her drain for a little bit. There are still some lines we need to disconnect on the rear steering, which, funny enough, does work. I was fortunate enough to get in touch with the old owner of this car, and man, he loved this thing. It obviously sucks when it happens this way, but he did so much maintenance to this thing just before it got wrecked. We definitely need to keep the ducts, which, Fernando, did you notice if that thing had the ducts on it?
No, I think they're missing.
So, they are missing. The only problem is, I'm thinking they might need to be missing for this 99 spec bumper because I don't see any chance that this goes in there. That's the bracket that we just took that pin out of. There's no chance this sits on there. Not a chance. I guess, and you guys are gonna have to correct me if this is wrong, the 99 cars, the true 99 cars had either different intercoolers or different ducts. Of course, we managed to find the only 1995 Mitsubishi with working and charged AC. Now the good thing here is if we go to charge the AC in the old purple car over there and it doesn't work, we know for a fact we have a set of good AC lines and whatnot on this. Now guys, don't hold me to this. If you see me cussing these cars out in a later video, I don't want to hear anything about it. But for now, honestly, it's kind of fun working on something I haven't worked on before. Now, when we bought this car, I was pretty shocked to see it had a glass roof. In fact, until we got this thing here, I didn't know that was even a thing. Now, if you guys watched the last video, you know I'm pretty unfamiliar with these cars. This is the first one I've even touched. Well, I guess technically that one is, but you understand what I'm trying to say. Now, that whole glass roof kit is going to get sold. Hardware, everything. That's one thing we definitely do not need for my car. But now this has got me thinking, what other roof configurations are there? We have two in the shop alone. We have a metal sunroof. We have, or had, a glass sunroof on here. I'm sure some of these cars have no sunroof whatsoever and are a true hardtop, and even I know enough about them to know there's the Spider. Either way, this is a pretty cool setup. It's a massive glass roof that has a shade on the bottom of it. It doesn't even have any electronics to fail, so it seems like it should stand the test of time like this one did. And yes, this is your cue to go down in the comments and tell me everything I need to know about the different roof options on these cars. So I pulled like the radiator and 3 hoses, and you have the whole interior dismantled.
To be honest with you, this interior's been doing great. It's friendly. Like, I like this.
So,
I take it.
So these cars really aren't that bad.
They're not that bad yet.
They don't even look that heavy. Easy for me to say as I'm not the one lifting it, but just seeing the way you pulled it out of there.
It's super light, but it's not that crazy.
I just imagine everything on this car being insanely heavy and just way, way over-engineered.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen this far, it's not really the case. Now here's the question. Do we sell these seats or do we keep them? I actually think the ones in the purple car here are in better shape. If you look there, this one actually has a rip in it. Check that out. 3SX motor mounts.
Oh.
If I'm correct, this car
It's missing those?
either doesn't have the motor mounts or they're somewhere in there. And if they're in there, we'll find them later in the episode. But I bet they're not aftermarket. So I think we just settled on motor mounts for the car. Now we get to the semi-fun part here. Get to pull off some aftermarket parts. Some stuff I'm actually pretty excited about. I still don't know what the purple car has in the way of aftermarket parts. But one thing it definitely does not have, this cool stainless Y-pipe up here. And that's something we're definitely snatching for the build. Remember last episode, we didn't know if this is an authentic or knockoff HKS blow-off valve. I think some of the old knockoff ones did have an HKS logo on them. This one doesn't even have that. It just says sequential blow-off valve. So this guy here, I am 99.85% sure it's a knockoff. Let's see. The inner 16-year-old in me is really looking forward to hearing that sound. No,
Just that? Oh, no, what about the other one? No, you know...
This guy here just looks like a simple air filter housing on the end of the stock MAF. That's a stock intake setup there. At least for the first stage of this build, we're gonna go ahead and keep this car almost completely stock. I just wanna get that car driving, settled, dialed in 100%, and then maybe we'll add some power to it. Check that baby out. Good old manual boost controller. I don't recognize the brand. I think it's just a cheaper one. But now we're kind of in the weeds here. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of wiring, shifter cables that we need to figure out. So, Fernando, what do you say we get to it?
Let's roll.
Now, as most of you are well aware, I'm no expert, but I think, keyword there is think, we're about ready to drop this engine down. Now, there is one thing I am worried about, and once again, thanks to you guys for letting me know this is a major issue. I think it's well documented on this car that we have some oil leaking issues. So we are gonna have to address this oil pan. One issue I already see right there. That's a turbo oil drain, I have to imagine, and there's a bunch of RTV around it. I don't like that. But before we drop this thing out, I wanted to be very careful to make sure that we don't sit it directly on the oil pan. If you dent this in at all, you're basically asking for the bottom of the pan to sit against the pickup, starve the engine of oil, and we all know what happens there. I would assume that that circle right there is where the pickup sits. Either way, we do have some oil leaks to address on this. I'm hoping that most of them are coming from the valve cover. We'll run down more of the maintenance that previous owner did once we get the engine dropped, but fortunately he addressed some of the places oil can be coming from. Obviously though, there's plenty more to address.
That did a lot.
Getting somewhere. What is... Hey, Fernando, check that out. Just now noticed we have an aftermarket clutch in there.
Ooh.
Don't know what it is, maybe spec or something like that?
Small present for you, you know?
For me?
Yeah. Valentine's Day is right in the corner.
Dude, you're not gonna believe it.
What?
Just so happens that Gentle Bands is also the sponsor of today's video. As you can see by the assortment of cars in this place, we don't like to stick to the norm. So your typical gold, silver, platinum wedding band wasn't gonna cut it for me. When I saw the crazy materials that Gentle Bands was using, I was dead hooked. Whiskey barrel, tungsten, titanium, antler, all kinds of exotic woods, just really cool stuff. Gentle Bands paid great attention to every detail of this product. Not only the ring, but the case itself. It's a nice high quality case that you can repurpose for something else. Maybe you could put your 10mm in it so you stop losing them. The ring Fernando so graciously got me is made out of whiskey barrel, antler, and tungsten. Check that out. Someone sees you wearing this thing, maybe they think you're a guy who likes to smash whiskey at 6 a.m. in the tree stand. Or if you're anything like me, you just think it looks really cool. The minute Fernando saw mine, he started scrolling down gentlebands.com trying to find one for himself. What you finding?
Dinosaur bones plus meteorite.
Dinosaur bones?
Looks
You went really exotic. Dinosaur bone and meteorite. All
Why
right.
not?
Got it. Well, now since you got me one, I feel obligated to get you one. Only difference is I'm going to save a little bit of money doing so. Fernando didn't know it when he got mine, but you can go to gentlebands.com right now and use code ScrapLife for 25% off your order. I think we can try to send it up, and theoretically, this engine should go down. Okay. Okay.
It's working.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah. All right. Go. All right, hold on.
Do you think that we have enough weight up front? That way the car doesn't fall?
To be determined. This engine mount did not want to separate very well. And we don't want to mess up the studs. So I think in the interest of just being very thorough here and not ruining our engine mounting bracket studs, we're gonna go ahead and pop this engine mount out. Kind of a weird design there. There we go, that's what we're looking for. All right, hold. No way we just nailed this first try.
Looks like it.
Yeah, hold on.
No?
No. One little harness that was kind of deceivingly hidden in the front. No big deal, no harm, no foul. Let's get this thing the rest of the way out. Not bad at all. This went way smoother than I thought. What do you think, Fernando?
Yes, me too.
Both these cars came with a ton of spare parts, and before we stick this one over in purgatory, we gotta clean it out. If you guys remember from the first episode, we have a transmission, or most of a transmission, in the hatch. It turns out the previous owner bought this car with a bad transmission. He bought a second transmission, basically did exactly what we're doing with these two cars. He combined the best of the best and made one, hopefully, working transmission. Since I pretty much have no use whatsoever for these transmission parts, I think what we're gonna do is just sell them as a used part slot, you know, as is type deal for some of you guys who might need spare parts. 3000 GT gaskets. Ah, yes. The valve cover gaskets that I just ordered new OEM were in the trunk all along. Well, we do have OEM ones now, but I suppose I will hold on to these now that I'm a certified 3000 GT guy. Not one,
Two.
but two identical, what I presume is clutch master cylinders.
That's concerning.
Weird. Another power torque box. If it's a third clutch master cylinder, I'm going to be genuinely confused. Ah, slave cylinder. Okay. Jeez. He wasn't lying when he said this thing had a bad trans. I assume this is out of the original one because it is pretty destroyed. All in all, we didn't have too many parts in here. A couple new things we can use and a lot of transmission parts. Now, before we can get this car off into the other unit, you guys remember this thing from last episode, Teen Flex Z coilovers. A fairly cheap set of coilovers, but overall in nice shape, and they look fairly new. Unfortunately, that right there, it's not gonna work to put it on the new car. Luckily, however, I was able to order a replacement lower end strut from Teen. It's taken a while to get here. It's been about a month now. It's still coming from Japan, but when it gets here, we'll have a fresh new set of coilovers for like $2. And not just that, check this guy out. Aftermarket control arm. I believe that's the camber arm, and I am certainly gonna snatch those for the new build. White car out, purple car in. Now we're not getting rid of the white car just yet. It's gonna sit where you saw us put it for, I guess, the duration of this project. If we're missing a button, a switch, a bolt, anything, we can go snatch it out of that car and it's gonna save us a ton of time, effort, and money. Now in the last car, we pulled out a bunch of transmission parts, but in this car, we have an actual transmission. There is a lot of stuff in here. A lot of stuff to make this whole project easier. The previous owner wanted to make this as smooth of a process as possible just because of how much he loves this platform. There's our transmission. Hopefully we don't have to use this one. Hopefully the one that got rebuilt in the white car is good and we can sell this thing to recoup some money once we're done.
Is it heavy? Whoa, it looks heavy.
No, it's very, very light, Fernando.
Yeah, right.
Ow.
I told you.
Right to the left. There we go. Now everything's going exactly how I planned it. Excuse me, can I get past you, please?
Wow.
You could have gave me a hand, man.
I told you.
Getrag, same company who made it for the Supra. Pretty much all the major Japanese cars that had power back then got a Getrag.
Oh, that's not good.
That's fine, man.
I don't know.
There's little indents, but he put so much of this stuff down in that towel, like, we'll be fine. Oh my God. Now the rear seats, that might be a different story. There is way more back here than I thought. I think we're just gonna take all this stuff for now, stick it in this bin here, sit it to the side until we figure out what we need. And these are those braces that run this way on the car. One of them on the white car was just toast. This is the axle that's actually broken on the white car, so we definitely need that. Motor mount brackets.
What? Look at that turbo. Wow.
The other half of the turbo.
Yeah.
They roughly go like that.
Okay.
Downpipe that is not nearly as nice as the aftermarket one that's on that car. That's about it. This thing is still in pretty decent shape, even after sitting with those parts in it. There is one thing I spy off the bat that we're gonna need out of that other car. Yeah, 100%. Before we can get these valve covers off, we've got to pull the timing covers, and that brings us to one of my favorite things that the previous owner did to this car. All the timing gear, water pump, oil pump, brand new. Saves us not only money, but a lot of time. Check it out.
Fresh.
Very fresh. That is such a relief. That thing has not been off there in forever. It's possible this is the first time this has ever been off. That was crusty. Ready?
Yeah. Ooh.
Okay. Could be worse. Looks like a, you know, normal kind of high-ish mile engine. What do you expect? That's a nice piece. It's a nice billet piece. Feel it, Fernando. Not cheap sheet metal.
Yeah, solid.
It's a little moist in there, isn't it?
Yeah,
A little moister than I'd expect. Ooh. That one's barely tight.
Ooh. Way easier.
Yes, also, what I just did, don't ever leverage something on a cam gear. Also, yes, the gasket's already coming out of this one. I think this tool is like 20, 30 bucks, nothing serious. It's just cut sheet metal, worth every penny. All the rockers look to be in really good shape, which is a good thing because I didn't order any more of those. Now, for these noisy, old first-gen lifters. See the difference in holes there?
Wow.
Old style, new style. This one ticks, quiet as a mouse. All that ticking we heard, that stuff that concerned us, still that little tick there. None of the 3000 GT guys were concerned about it. They knew what it was.
Oh.
This is a tight engine, man.
That's a good.
It's very good, very good. We're gonna find out just how tight it is because after we finish these lifters, we're leaking her down. Let's just say I hope it goes better than that JDM engine did. There probably was a better way to do this where we leak it down and then do the lifters because if this engine's no good, we just did all that for nothing.
Yeah.
Well, it's already better than the JDM one, right?
Way better. Can you say we are 25% down on this thing? 20, right?
What kind of grades did you get in math?
Eh, why not? We
What-
got another 80% to get it done.
You're all over the place, man.
It's
No
true.
more math on camera for Fernando.
Yeah. Solid 3.
We're one cylinder away from having a perfect motor. Well, I don't know if I'd call a 25-year-old engine perfect, but done. That is very, very refreshing. That just means all that money we spent on that car from auction last episode, it didn't go to waste. We got what we paid for and we got what we needed. And frankly, this makes it a really good deal because after we sell everything we can off that white car, we're gonna be in this motor for $2 grand, less than half the price we were gonna pay from the JDM importer, and we got one that is in so much better shape. Knocking out that ratty old seal, huh?
Trying to. Look at the difference between this seal and the other one.
Oh yeah, this one just got replaced. This is the other half of that Fel-Pro set we saw in the trunk for sure.
Probably this was like, oh, that's too hard to get through. So if we don't look at it, we don't worry about it.
I like that motto, but not in this. We got to make sure we're not draining oil down the back of the engine. That makes sense. I was wondering why the bolts didn't have, you know, like rubber washer gaskets on them. The gaskets actually go around the bolts. That's pretty cool. That back one, that was nice and tight. This one has a bunch of oil in it. And now a lot less powder coat as well.
You never reheal gasket? Come on.
Reuse gasket. The certain gaskets, metal gaskets, you can get away with reusing once in a while. I'll pull an LS valve cover all day and reuse the gaskets, no problem. But I'm not going to do it on this when it's already leaking. All right. Make sure we're not forgetting anything here, right?
No, I don't think so.
All of our lifters are there. Everything looks good to me. All right. Well, I said something earlier about that front valve cover being a little loose. Turns out the torque spec's 2.2 pounds. I was wrong. Whoever installed that was right. They're supposed to be loose. 2.2 pounds. That is nothing.
Feels wrong.
It does. It really does feel wrong. It feels so wrong to leave these as loose as I know I'm going to have to leave them. Back on with our timing cover, and we have ourselves a completely sealed up top of the engine. You might be wondering why the actual intake manifold's not on. Well, that's because the spark plugs won't be here till tomorrow. So we're gonna have to leave off without that on, but hey. I am gonna go ahead and sit these in here just to fill these Japanese holes until the new plugs get here. But otherwise, man, what a successful day. Now, not only do we have ourselves a fresh-ish engine that leaked down flawlessly with fresh lifters, fresh valve cover seals, brand new timing, albeit not done by me, we have ourselves a whole rack of other parts over here. We have 2 complete bins of parts we may need, some of which, if it's good in the purple car, we can just sell later on down the road. Some stuff, like those control arms, we're definitely keeping. We have a full set of brakes we can sell to put some money back in our pocket. We even have some extra suspension parts here. Some good, some, well, not so good. Now, one thing we do have to figure out what we want to do with, the wheels. Those two, definitely bad. Those two, probably bad, though we'll test them later. Those Hyundai Genesis wheels on the car, definitely not going to cut it, so we still have to find ourselves a nice set of wheels. Over on this side, we have some stuff that we're going to sell. That glass roof, the RoboMod headlights there, some miscellaneous ducting, that whole batch of 6-speed transmission parts. We, of course, have ourselves that nice stainless downpipe there. One issue with it, however, this test pipe, it got hit pretty good. I'm going to go out on a limb and say we were probably working with some type of exhaust leak there. This is the downpipe off the purple car. It's obviously a stock front section with an aftermarket test pipe, so maybe even though it's not a nice piece, we take that one and stick it on that and be good to go. Otherwise, I do want to figure out what's up with this. I presume these are secondary O2 sensors, being that that one just doesn't have them. One other thing that we got that we desperately needed, the shaft. The one in the car, not only did we bang it all over a parking lot in Vegas, it's now completely rusted out. And as I run off all those parts, you know what I'm realizing, Fernando?
What?
We have everything we need to put this engine in the car. We gotta wait for the oil pan, we gotta wait for the spark plugs, but a week from now, we should be able to put this thing in. I did say I would keep you guys updated with the cost associated with this build all the way throughout. There's not much to report this time. Gaskets, lifters, nothing serious. I think we're in it for another $350. With any luck, next episode, we're gonna have that thing running. It might not be a completely finished, ready to take across the country type running, but it'll be running. I have an incredible mess behind me to get cleaned up, so I'm gonna do that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you guys back here very, very soon to get that thing cranked up for the first time.
Adios. We're gonna have oil in the coolant or no? Hopefully the other car is the same condition of this.
What other car?
The purple, not pink, purple.
We're gonna get this car out of here, pull a couple more parts. What the fuck am I saying parts for?
Magic trick.
Yeah, magic. Yeah, I am a magician. I make money disappear all the time.
Alright, run helmet.
What? It's just one less thing we have to worry about, and I think it's going to ultimately allow us to... I dropped the screw while I was talking.